Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another review of Rituals, aka The Creeper, but I like the title Rituals better, from 1977, and this is a film that thankfully I have a DVD-R from thanks to my friend Mike, OCP Communications, because this film is on DVD by Code Red, but it's very, very expensive because it's out of print. I mean, humongously expensive, and thankfully the DVD-R I have has the features on it. Granted, I wouldn't mind an actual DVD, but it's so expensive, it's not worth it. I mean, it's extremely expensive because it's out of print. So I'm fine with what I have now. Again, it has the film works fine, has all the features on it, so I'm fine with that. But it's also sad because I think this is a very underrated movie. I really enjoyed this film, Rituals. I will say this right off the bat. This film is miles better than Deliverance. It's kind of like Deliverance, but a little bit more slasher version of Deliverance. And my favorite of that group of films is Southern Comfort. I love Southern Comfort. Someone's thankfully sent me the Blu-ray from Shout Factory of Southern Comfort. That's one I would like to review one day, but I just have so much other stuff. But I love Southern Comfort. Southern Comfort is my favorite. This film is not as good as Southern Comfort. But Southern Comfort, that was a film that bombed, that got no Academy Award nominations, bombed badly, Southern Comfort. And the features are okay, as like a 27-minute making of. It's okay, but they deal more about the themes of the movie than the actual making of. But I'm glad I have, and I'm glad I have the Blu-ray because I really enjoy the film. But getting back to Rituals, it's not as good as Southern Comfort, but I still really enjoy it. I think this film is a lot better than Deliverance. Deliverance is one of those films I never understood the praise for. I used to have the DVD, and I sent it as a joke to my friend Effrey because he didn't like the film either. I don't like Deliverance. I think it's overrated. I think people only remember three things: the dueling banjos, Burt Reynolds shoots someone with an arrow, and Squeal Like a Pig, Ned Beatty. That's it. It did not deserve an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. It didn't deserve to be a humongous hit in this culturally significant movie. I don't get it. There's better movies. This is one of them. And no one talks about Rituals. No one no one talks about Southern Comfort, but Southern Comfort is better than both of them. But Rituals is still a good movie. It's about these five doctors, including Hal Holbrook, who go on a hiking trip. They're dropped off by plane. They're out camping, and they're talking about being doctors. And some of them are talking about, certain stuff about the medical field of doctors. And this is important to the plot because someone is watching them. And pretty much strange stuff happens where their boots are gone. But one guy did have extra repair, so he goes off alone to get to this dam to say, hey, figure out what's going on, contact somebody. Because this released in '77, and unfortunately, the people who released this film, not the director or such, but the people who released this film, they didn't give a fuck about the film. They didn't give a fuck about the film because it was made in Canada. Because, well, we got the money already, we got a profit already because they made it with taxes. Made in Canada deals with taxes, so they already made a profit. So releasing the film was just, well, fine, whatever, release it. But they didn't release it much to anything. They didn't do a good job. They even fucked up some of the print. And this is if you find it online or somewhere to watch, it's the best it's going to look because the people releasing it didn't treat it well. This is one of those films that easily could have been a lost film. It easily could have been a lost film, and it sucks. And it says it's uncut, but it's because this is how much they didn't care about the film, the people who released this. Not the people who made it, the people who released it. And it's because when they released the original on DVD, it was, quote, a cut version, but it was a made-for-TV version. It's like, whatever, yeah, that's the DVD, yeah, it's the made-for-TV. So when this is uncut, it's just the one that wasn't the made-for-TV version. It's not an uncut film. It probably would still be maybe a little bit rated R, but it's not really that gory or violent and such at all. It's just uncut because it wasn't the made-for-TV. Again, this is how much the people production who released this film didn't care about this movie, which is sad because I think it's an underrated movie. Because it is a slow burn movie, it is a slow pace movie, but I think it has really good photography. I think the acting, especially Hal Holbrook, I think he's actually really good in this film. I think It has a good atmosphere to it. I kind of like the plot when you find out what's going on. I really liked it, and to me, it was more satisfying to watch than Deliverance, because Deliverance is just they kill the one guy that raped him, and then Ronnie Cox dies, and they're not sure, was he shot, was he just dizzy and fell overboard, then Burt Reynolds' leg is broken, and then John Voight kills someone, but he's like, did he shoot at us or was he an innocent guy? Don't know. You don't really know. And then the other three get out of there, and John Voight has a nightmare, and then the movie is over, and I'm like, this deserves an Academy Award nomination? This deserved to be a big hit? This film, on the other hand, I think has more interesting stuff going on. And especially Southern Comfort. But the guy who directed it, I want to give him credit, he's no longer with us. He passed away in 1982, which is too bad. 1982, he passed away. Peter Carter. I thought he did a good job with this film. And he directed The Intruder Within, which I've heard of this film. I wouldn't mind to check it out one day. 1981. And then he directed a film called High Point, 1982. But he didn't direct too many films. But yeah, this film didn't do anything. And like disappeared, and even now it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. I mean, the film is not that bad. I mean, I don't want to make it out to be like this is the best of the best of the best, or this is one of the best of the best. All I can say is I really enjoyed it, and it doesn't even get a Wikipedia page. It's a co-read DVD that is out of print. You know, the production just releasing, not giving a fuck, even about the prints, and oh, some of it got damaged. Oh well. That's why a little bit in the third act's a little bit too dark, but you know, with this transfer, I could deal with it. But like I said, in the basically when their buddy leaves, they sleep at night, and then when they wake up, they find a deer's head right outside their tent. And like, what the hell's going on? And then when they're going, someone throws bees at them. Real bees, by the way. These are all real bees, and they got run and they get into the water. And one of their friend gets killed. I like how a lot of times you see stuff from a distance, and I don't know, for some reason that a little bit creepy when you see stuff far away in the distance. Like from a distance, you see someone throw their friend, which granted you could tell it's a dummy, a mannequin, but it's a low budget. I can excuse it for that. Um, and you know the friend gets killed. I was like, what was that? I like what Hal Holbrook says. Like, fight who? We don't know if it's one man or 10. And I think there's some really good acting. You get a lot of conversations. There's a lot of conversations with these characters, which I was fine with because built up these characters. I didn't even realize one of these guys happens to be gay, which I thought was interesting. And they find this rope and they tie across, and they don't wait till morning. But they don't know is that when they're crossing, there's bear traps underneath. And when they slip, one of them gets the bear trap. This is the guy who we find out is gay. But at the same time, they don't really do much. When I say they don't do much, they don't make him like, I'm prissy and stuff. And they don't use it in a stupid way. I guess it's like, oh, that just happens to be part of his character. Okay, interesting. But that guy, he slips and his foot gets caught in a bear trap. And he gets hurt, and they have to, he's begging, oh, don't leave me, don't leave me. And they have to pretty much set his foot and pretty much carry him around. Uh, and Hal Holbrook I really like because he's doing the best that he can. And out of the group, he's the guy who's, I would say, the most decent guy. I mean, even this other guy who is one of the producers, I don't have a case, so I forget the guy's name. He's also the producer of the film. He's kind of Hal Holbrook's buddy, but kind of not, because he's like just jabbering and talking shit to Hal Holbrook, and Hal Holbrook gets fed up, and they get into a fight, which accidentally their friend goes down the river and bumps his head, so he's even a little bit more messed up. Lawrence Dane is the other actor that keeps giving him shit. And that's when the guy's like, oh, don't leave me, don't leave me. And Lawrence Dane's like, we should leave him, and Hal Holbrook's like, no, we're not leaving him. And Hal Holbrook's a stand-up guy, and you find a little bit of backstory about him, but not too much. But like something about his father was a drunk, and he gave up on his old man because he was a drunk, and then his father died. But yeah, I really like the setting that they were at. Like there's this area of the film where they go through this burnt, like this forest that was burned down. I thought it was a really cool look. It's a really cool place they found, this burned down forest. And then when the two of them look somewhere and they leave their buddy just to look, they come back and they realize the killer left a medal, like a World War II medal, so he's fucking with them. And Lawrence Dane wants to leave the guy, and Hal Holbrook doesn't. Uh, and that's when like they sleep and they wake up and they find the buddy that was thrown. The killer took that guy's head and put his head on a stick. And Hal Holbrook gets pissed and throws it. Uh, and Lawrence Dane, even then, he's kind of a dick. He's about ready to leave, but then he still helps Hal Holbrook, and they get to this dam. That's where they find their other buddy, the guy who had left, who had the other pair of shoes. And I like the way he's like tied down, but it's like the killer jammed like nails or something into the guy's leg to keep him there. And then the guy's like kind of awake, but Hal Holbrook has no choice. He's got to kill him and end his suffering, so he does. And I like that. This is what I'm talking about. I like some of these shots where you see the killer is way, way far away, and he's about this big. So think of this shot, and the killer's like this big because it's that far away, and he's watching all this stuff going on. And I like those kind of shots where it's that far away. You just see the killer this big, and it's like, oh, they're being watched. So calling this a slasher movie, I think might mislead people. I think it's more slasher version than Deliverance, but it's not like tons of kills, makeup effects and stuff. But it's a character piece. But I liked it. It's a survival movie. Maybe that's the best way to put it. It's a survival movie. And then Lawrence Dane fucking leaves him, which pisses Hal Holbrook off. And then the person that was carrying, he finds out that he's dead as well. So you really feel sorry for Hal Holbrook. You really feel for his character. I think that's one of the things I really liked for this film. I didn't really feel for any of the characters in Deliverance. Not even Ned Beast squealed like a pig because I feel for someone getting raped, of course, but I don't know, I think it's an overrated movie. But I feel bad for Hal Holbrook's character. He got left behind from this Lawrence Dane. He had to kill one friend to eat his suffering. Another dies. And he gets to his cabin, he gets attacked, and he has to defend himself. And then he realizes that this is a blind guy who is the brother of the killer. And long story short, he gets his leg sliced and the arteries broken open. And that Lawrence Dane guy has been caught. He's outside. And it's like, okay, you did leave him, even though he's like, I didn't leave you. I was going to come back, I promise. And he did. So it's not like I care about Hal Holbrook more than him. And Hal Holbrook, it's not like he's just fucking around. He's trying to, kind of like, uh, kind of like that Rambo 3 scene, but it's before Rambo 3. He gets like this powder from a shotgun. He puts it in. He's got to cauterize it. And so he does. And of course, he screams because it hurts. And that's when his buddy gets on fire, but he doesn't know that yet because he's in pain. And he gets off, and then his buddy's on fire. Granted, he left his ass, but Hal Holbrook, he's a good guy, and he's like, oh, he's pissed off. He gets the shotgun, and the killer tries to come in and blows his arm off, which I like. Blows his arm off, and the guy comes in, and you realize his face is fucked up, and you realize the reason why this killer's doing this is because it's more of a mystery, I guess, than Deliverance. Is that he was a World War II guy who, I guess the doctors had either fucked up his face or they didn't fix him and thus left him fucked up. Not these doctors, other doctors. And so when he heard these people talking about being doctors, and some of Hal Holbrook's friends were being dicks about being doctors, the killer didn't like that because it made him think of the doctors, what doctors did to him, and so he hunted these guys down. They pretty much play mind games with them. That's really what it is, like fucking with their head. And Hal Holbrook shoots them. I would appreciate more of a blood squib on the killer, because it is the killer, like a big blood squib, but, okay, at least he did blow his arm off, and you see a little bit of blood coming down from that, and, shoots him. And he walks out, and he sits on the road, just waiting for the next car to come by, and I like the music as well, used in the film. I like the way it's shot. It's not a downbeat ending, but he's like, dirtied up, tired, just sitting on the road. I like the way the last shot, he's in the middle of the road sitting, waiting for a car, and pulls back with the music. I think it's a good survival movie. I think it's a good, it's a very underrated movie that no one talks about Rituals. I think the cast does a good job, especially, I think Hal Holbrook. I think this is his best performance. I really do. I think this is his best performance in the film that I've seen, and the best character he's played. I like The Fog, I like Creepshow, but I think this is his best character that he's played. He's the lead, he has more to do. Some people might not like it because it's a slow pace and it's a lot of talky conversation, but I was fine with it in this instance. Because I got to know Hal Holbrook and the survival of these characters. I like the story of the film. I like the setting. I thought it had some decent atmosphere. It has some subtle things like the deer's head, and later on it's their friend's head and other stuff. I thought it was a good survival story, and I thought it's a film that has some nice sort of little bit of creepiness to it, and I do think it's a well done movie. I think it is better filmed than Deliverance. Yeah, Southern Comfort is still my favorite, but I think Rituals is a very underrated film that deserves a lot more than it got. Um, I'm sure if you talk to Hal Holbrook, he's not a fan because he doesn't really talk about any horror films because it's like he's against violence now and stuff. But that's how some people are. But I still think he did a really good job, and I think it's a good movie. I really enjoyed Rituals. You know, it's kind of hard calling it a slasher film, but I guess technically it is. But it's not like a gory slasher film. But at the same time, Halloween is a slasher film. You don't really see any blood in Halloween, so if you think about it that way. So in a way, it's a backwoods slasher. I think it's a hell of a lot better than a lot of other backwoods slashers I've seen. Yes, I would pick this over Madman. Madman I like okay, but Rituals actually has some good acting, and I think a better story and a much better ending than Madman. Just my opinion. Has a likable lead, like Hal Holbrook. But I really like Rituals. Whether you want to call it slasher movie, whether you want to call it in the tradition of Deliverance, I think it's better than Deliverance. I like it better than Deliverance, and it's an underrated movie, and it deserves a lot more than it got, and it's unfortunate. So again, either way, I really enjoy the film. My favorite is going to be Southern Comfort, but this is definitely second place in that sort of genre. I haven't seen films like Survival Quest and stuff, granted, but I really like Rituals. I do think it's very underrated. I mean, yeah, it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. It doesn't even have. You can't even get the DVD, and it's a 6.4. I think it could be higher, but like Deliverance gets like a 7.8. Southern Comfort gets, I think, gets like a 7.2, which I think that should be higher than Deliverance. But Rituals, I like the film. Either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.